So, first time we are here as Mastercard. The subject is the end of passwords, two-factor authentication and biometrics coming in 2019. You could also say it's becoming the new normal in 2019. So, what we are facing currently is a situation that we have in the internet arena a so-called approval rate, which is around 85%, which is way lower than what you see on the point of sale. So this is not really very promising, as well as that we have 10 times higher fraud rates in the internet than what you see on point of sale. And thirdly, the majority of all fraud which is happening happens in the internet. So this all is a driver behind which we as a company, as well as a regulator, said it can't go on like that. This is non-acceptable situation. And also, I mean, what you see when you have a store, when you are a merchant, you really have the problem that you're losing revenue, because very often you have these breaches and online purchases are abundant. And this is really a very bad one. We have around 20 to 25% of abandonment rate currently in the European market when somebody's payment with a credit card and is using security features which are fine in terms of security, but which are awful in terms of abandonment. So you're losing money. Consumers are getting frustrated because unfortunately, there's high false declines, meaning that issuers decline a transaction even though it's a real person who is in front of them. And also, consumers are affected by fraud. They get their money back, but the dispute and chargeback process is frustrating. So also here, not very good situation. And issuers, they are stuck with fraud also. They have lots of work because of this type of fraud. They have to work all these fraud cases. Sometimes they're even stuck with the losses. And the regulator is getting back to them. So regulator is giving them a hard time. Yeah? So people like sometimes that banks get in trouble from regulator, but in this arena it's not really funny. So what happened is that the regulator said, hey guys, it can't go on like that. You guys have to build strong customer authentication. Yeah? So strong customer authentication will become mandatory as of September 2019. And this is really a very important message, and unfortunately not everybody wants to listen to it, but the ones who are here, now you get the message. It's important. Strong customer authentication will be there by law. Yeah? It's not like we as a card industry want to have it this way. I mean, so in certain arenas we like it the way it is, yeah? But regulator says, you guys, you have to introduce strong customer authentication. Just for a snapshot, what on earth is strong customer authentication? Because this is very often misunderstood. What is meant by strong customer authentication? It's 2 factors out of 3 different types. So for example, one factor being knowledge, another one being inherence. This to be mixed, fine. You shouldn't mix, for example, 2 factors knowledge. No 2-factor authentication. You cannot fix 2 possession, no 2-factor. But knowledge and possession, possession and inherence, or possession and inherence, or so, this is all fine. Yeah? It's very important to understand this concept of 2-factor authentication, otherwise you're not compliant by law. There are a couple of exemptions, and this is now the most important message I want to make today. There is regulatory exemptions existing which can be used by merchants to avoid strong customer authentication. Well, it's a really funny one because I'm from Mastercard and I'm telling you how to avoid it. Yeah? So if you get this joke, yeah, but I want that you use it, yeah, because at the end, from Mastercard side, we want that consumers can use a credit card and that abandonment is low. And the lowest piece of abandonment can be reached if merchants use wisely the exemptions. Yeah? I will show the exemptions later on again. In terms of what happens here on the consumer side, it's really simple. At the end, what you see here as the authentication, this is new workflow which is added. Yeah? And definitely, to everybody who has a shop store, whenever the workflow is increasing in terms of more clicks, there is abandonment. Yeah? So this will happen. There will be more abandonment. So you guys should think about it, how to avoid it. Yeah? Key change also, certain authentication matches being in place today are no longer allowed. For example, there's very often what we see is only card number. There is no strong customer authentication in the future. Or what is very, very much a common standard, especially in the UK, is card data and one-time password via SMS. By EBA regulation, no strong customer authentication. Big problem in UK. Yeah? So they're groundbreaking information right now past here, yeah, and I hope you guys get the message. So overall, if you don't do the things, you will lose revenue. You have problems with reputational risk because consumers might say, hey, what are you doing here? Why are you not doing the things right? And it could happen that you pay fines. I don't really think that the EBA will fine merchants, but they definitely will fine acquirers if they don't behave in a regulatory right way. So this was the cliffhanger. Yeah? Basically, the world is going in pieces. Yeah? So what we are doing here from Mastercard, we try to solve the situation. And what we're doing is, we have currently introduced Mastercard Secure Code. And believe it or not, we don't like it. Yeah? Mastercard Secure Code is not the best, but we work on it. And what we did, first thing, when you don't like something, you give it a new name. And the new name is, for the guys who have glasses like me and sit over there, it's called Mastercard ID Check. Yeah? Important, because with a new name, you will see a new brand, and we will introduce this brand by mandatory latest April 2019. And we will do campaigning on it, and we have me running around telling everybody there's a new name, yeah? And other me's, yeah? So if it would be me alone, it would be awful. Authentication methods. There's tons of, oh my God, authentication methods you don't want to see in the world, yeah? Awful. And what we are saying, hey guys, go to biometrics. So we talk literally to every bank in Germany and Switzerland, tell them, guys, and in Europe, guys, change the authentication method. And they do so, yeah? They do it. And so every bank by mandate has to change authentication method. What we said, if you don't change the authentication method, we will punish you. And we have methods to do so. Next one, the new protocol. Super important to understand. There's a new protocol being built. There's more and more providers who can provide you this protocol. And it's really important that you work with a provider who's supporting the new EMV 3D Secure protocol. Others also call it the 3D Secure version 2.2, 2.1 protocol. Whenever you hear something like that, yeah, you should be enlightened and say, yes, this protocol I like. Yeah? So go to your payment service provider and ask them, hey guys, do you have the EMV 3D Secure protocol? What is your strategy on this one? I want to have it. Yeah? Normally it's supposed to that I speak. And why do I evaporate on this protocol? The new protocol has a couple of really important advantages. Advantage number one, the new protocol gives the merchants the possibility through the acquirer to send over 100 data elements, and 40 of these are mandatory, to the issuer. So why on earth do we ask the merchant to send all this data to the issuer? Because we force the issuer to do strong customer authentication at their access control server. And with doing so, the issuer will very often not perform a strong customer authentication because he has all this wonderful data from the merchant and then knows, hey, this is really Peter Smith because I have this wonderful data. So strong customer authentication can easily be avoided by the merchant if he's using the 3D Secure 2.0 protocol and sends this data. Secondly, we are looking that the new protocol is standardized, that only authentication methods which are allowed are being used, no more only static password, for example, no more activation during shopping, which is also creating lots of abandonment. And thirdly, the new protocol is working with mobile phones. What a revolutionary thingy, yeah? Unfortunately, the old protocol was created somewhere in the 90s where there were no smartphones, yeah? So a little bit late, but we make it happen. Most important message I want to make. Look at the exemptions. Exemptions are a key driver to avoid authentication. And by law, you are allowed to do exemptions. If you are an issuer of prepaid cards, no strong authentication necessary. If you have mail order, telephone order, no strong customer authentication. If you have business in the United States, no strong customer authentication. If you have merchant-initiated payments, or if you have the recurring payment transaction, if you have an Abo, if you have Netflix, if you are Netflix, possibility that the recurring payments, no strong customer authentication. You should know these things, you should talk to your payment service provider, you should ask your payment service provider, how do I flag these, and then you should flag these transactions so that no strong customer authentication is being performed. It's really important, this message. If you don't do so, if you say, whatever I said, I don't care about it, this guy is talking nonsense anyway, we asked issuers about it. And what you see here was on a survey we did with around, I think it was, how many? 110 European issuers we asked on one of these events we normally hold. And 28 of these issuers told us that they will decline. If you perform a card not present transaction without strong customer authentication, if you don't use the new 3D Secure protocol, they will decline. We were shocked when they told us that. We were thinking, my God, this can't be true. But they will decline. So be prepared. Do something. Look into the subject. Look into exemptions. Become compliant. Become compliant. Here, 47 compliant. 12 compliant. And they're okay. They are 15% of, I don't know what, these guys are really crazy. But, we will talk to these 15%, yeah? But the others become compliant. Think about it, yeah? In terms of exemptions, one of the most exemptions, in my personal opinion, and therefore I will talk about it, is whitelisting. Whitelisting is, in my opinion, one of the coolest ones. Because it's an exemption which can be used regardless of the amounts. So if you really look into the subject, you will find out that there's really a lot of exemptions which only work for certain amounts or only for certain occasions or whatsoever. Whitelisting is working for everything. So if you found this way that a merchant, that a customer, do we distribute these slides anyhow? I don't know. Because the poor guys today was am Filters. Machen wir das? Yeah. So we will distribute somehow. In the process of a purchase, there's going to be, so pretty soon, we will see a new button, yeah? Here, this button. And in this button, a card holder can say yes. And by doing so, we're still struggling with how to name it. One click possible, or I don't know, whatever. Or put me on a white list, or put me on a positive list, I don't know. Yeah, this is the most struggling one. And then he clicks there, and then for other payments, which he's doing later on, no more strong customer authentication necessary. Yeah? So one time of strong customer authentication, clicking there, card holder is clicking there, I'm fine that this merchant is a beneficiary, a trusted beneficiary, wonderful. Yeah? What we also want that banks are building within their online banking, the possibility that merchants can be whitelisted in the online banking. Yeah, so you can, like a ruler, click, say yes, certain companies I want to be whitelisted. Overall, what we are planning is we are in the process here, for example, whitelisting. We're building on this one right now with a couple of banks and some merchants. We want that biometrics is getting higher, so we are starting advertisement campaigns on this one, as well as we're looking that the protocol is introduced and that basically the merchants are getting familiar with the new protocol. This all happening until then September 2019. The 14th of September 2019 being the D-Day. Until then, everything has to be finished and working. This is like year 2000. There's probably not a way out of this one because it's regulatory given. I think there are a lot of people who think, yeah, they will change dates. I personally don't think so. Yeah, no, will be this way. So what is conclusionally said, the key recommendations from my side? I think it's a really good idea to implement, even if you don't want to use it, but implement it just for the case you need to use it because, like I said, can happen in September 2019 that a couple of issuers just decline whatever you're doing. Yeah? So better you have it. Yeah? So technically, be prepared. Yeah? What I also would do, I would put this identity check brand on there. Actually, we mandate it, yeah, starting from April 2019, that you should use the identity check brand instead of the secure code brand. You should do it, yeah. I mean, it's not really a big one, yeah. Just take a new brand, put it on the side, wonderful. You should check your terms and conditions. I said there are certain data elements which are moved, so maybe you should put a line in your terms and conditions that for fraud detection reasons, certain information is being passed to the issuer, yeah. So that data protection law is fulfilled by informing the customer. You should definitely discuss with your acquirer, payment service provider on exemptions, and how they can be leveraged for your type of business. I really say whitelisting is a good one, low value and transaction risk analysis, really great exemptions. You should get familiar with the new data elements which are in the authorization message. And you should really look how to flag authorizations and authentications to avoid the so-called step-ups, the strong customer authentication. So that was conclusively all I wanted to say. And I think I'm in time, right? I'm turning. Which happens sometimes because I talk very fast. But we have time now for questions. Because I talked so fast, it's absolutely fine to ask me anything in terms of this subject. No? Listen.
Good?
Yeah.
There you go.
Oh.
Battery switched, ears off.
Hey, thank you. It might be a stupid question, 3DS EMV-V2, is this Mastercard only or is this an industry standard?
Okay. No, it's not a stupid question, definitely not. The EMV stands for European Mastercard and Visa, yeah? And that meaning that these three, basically all the card companies have this company together, yeah? This is like a specification company. And this specification company, they wrote the specifications. So it's from all the schemes. So what I'm saying here is basically the same. Somebody from Visa would hopefully say the same things. Yeah, I mean, I don't know, or from American Express. So yeah, you can't get out of this thingy by just not selecting Mastercards. Yeah. So when you select credit cards or whatsoever, EMV 3D Secure is really the new normal in this year.